Okay, fantastic. Welcome everybody to today's training session, How to Trade Gold for the 27th of September 2018, presented by myself, Phil Carr, at the Gold and Silver Club. So today's session will be going through live market analysis. We'll also be discussing the Gold and Silver Club trading strategies. We'll create a short list of trade ideas, answering questions, and as always, providing live support as well. So before we get into it, let me introduce you to the Gold and Silver Club. The Gold and Silver Club, regarded as the go-to authority on commodities trading, as internationally respected experts, our analysis and our opinions on the metals, energy, and the agricultural markets, they're routinely sought by major financial television channels and publications, which includes Bloomberg, Reuters, CNBC, the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal. Over the last 10 years, myself and my team of experts, we have trained and mentored thousands of private traders from all over the world on our exclusive research-driven strategies. For more information on our services, please go to www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. Also, I will put a link here for everybody in the chat there, so that you can go across and make a subscription to the Gold and Silver Club YouTube channel. We've put together a special report today on crude oil, which we have a position on at the moment. So Brent crude oil has broken out over the course of this week to 4-year highs. It's broken above $81 per barrel, the key levels that we're looking at next. So if you haven't done so already, definitely make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel. We put out reports regularly. There'll be another report alongside the oil report today. There'll be another report at the weekend too. So make sure you just go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the Gold and Silver Club channel. Link is in the description there as well. Okay, fantastic. So let's get into it. We'll go through the 5 secrets to trading gold, what I think you should know. We'll go through a bit of strategy details. And as always, any questions that you have at all, please feel free to ask. This session is going to be recorded, so if you miss anything, you can go back and watch the recording also on the binary.com YouTube channel as well. And then we'll move over to my live charts to go through a bit more analysis. And tomorrow, make sure, if you have availability, to turn up for the Commodities Corner session as well, where we go through markets in more detail, the latest stories, latest developments, as we head into the session on Friday and into the weekend as well. Okay, so let's get into it regarding gold. The first secret to trading gold is really understanding major news drivers for the market, the narratives in the market, and the fundamental drivers. Okay, so these tend to be very much driven by the United States. We've seen more recently a lot of unscheduled news items in the form of trade war tensions, additional tariffs being put on China by Donald Trump and the USA, which has also meant we've had a lot of volatility with the markets. But scheduled news items, the ones that you should pay a lot of attention to when you trade gold and silver, are non-farm payrolls and also the FOMC statements. We had an FOMC statement yesterday where the Federal Reserve went ahead and they increased interest rates, and often they have a big impact on the financial markets. In fact, today the dollar has broken out, the S&P 500 has broken out, gold has sold off today. We've had some really nice trades this week in the lead up and also today as well, especially on some of the equity markets as well. As head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, he has more influence over the US dollar's value than really any other person in terms of scheduled news items. Second to that, I'd say, is probably Mario Draghi. But his speeches are followed very closely by traders. They present regular news trading opportunities. We had one just yesterday for the FOMC statement. Then you have US non-farm payrolls. Okay, so that is another key fundamental driver for the precious metals. The next non-farm payroll will be next Friday, and it will be at 1:30 London time. The reason why that data is very important is the Federal Reserve, they assess the jobs data to determine whether the economy is strong enough to withstand higher interest rates. And that's very key to the Federal Reserve essentially going ahead with increases in interest rates, which is exactly what they did yesterday. But that data is a very important driver for the US dollar and also gold and silver. There's a very strong inverse correlation between the US dollar and gold and silver, because the way that we trade it, we're trading gold versus US dollar and silver versus US dollar. Therefore, any major impact that we see with the US dollar will inversely affect gold and silver. So here is the inverse correlation. So you can see typically when the US dollar is selling off, which we have actually seen over the last few weeks here, we broke down to the last week was the biggest 1 week sell off in the US dollar, in 7 months. And that certainly had quite a big impact to the upside on gold, on silver, and we saw them breaking out certainly to the highest levels that we've seen in approximately a month or so. But we have subsequently seen a breakout on the US dollar today, and that has also put quite a lot of essentially weakness on gold and silver. So the breakout that we've seen on the dollar today has definitely negatively impacted gold and silver prices, and that's a very tradable event. So you've got this very clear inverse correlation. So often when the dollar is going up, as it is today, you would expect gold and silver to sell off, and vice versa. When the dollar is selling off, you would expect gold and silver to also get well supported. Now, the second secret to trading gold is understanding the gold to silver ratio. And there's a lot of traders who maybe they're not aware of this ratio, and it's been very important historically for determining the top and also the bottom of gold and silver. Now, essentially, the gold to silver ratio means, the way it's expressed right now, it's approximately 83 to 1. And that would mean that it would take 83 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Or put another way, you could exchange 1 ounce of gold for 83 ounces of silver. And if you time it right, so if you're, for example, a bullion investor or even trading the financial markets, if you time the ratio right, you can do very well. So let's say, for example, you own some ounces of gold. If you go to a bullion dealer, which would be dealing in the physical, and you swap that 1 ounce of gold and you get 83 ounces of silver back, which is the 10-year high for the ratio. If you've then done that transaction, if you wait for the ratio then to sell off, which inevitably it will correct and get back to a reversion of the mean, where it will just come back towards the levels of, let's say, 75 to 1, 71 and so forth. If you waited for the gold to silver ratio to then fall all the way back, let's say to 50 to 1, you could then go back and exchange those ounces of silver, 50 ounces of silver this time, for 1 ounce of gold. And you can get your 1 ounce of gold back, but you'll net up your 34 ounces of silver because you swapped previously when the ratio was 84 to 1. And it can make a lot of sense when you're looking at the key times to be looking to invest in gold versus silver. So right now, the gold to silver ratio has hit, over the last week or so, it hit 85 to 1 actually, which was the highest in 10 years. Okay, so just have that for one moment. The gold silver ratio hits the highest level that it has done in 10 years. At the close yesterday, silver was approximately down minus 17% in 2018, and gold was down approximately 8% so far this year. So silver has a lot of catching up to do relative to gold. It's still sitting just above $14 per ounce. And once it starts to get going, once it gets supported and the bottom is in, it could very quickly catch up to gold prices. And the gold to silver ratio has often been viewed as a key time where we see a reversal. So buying silver, selling gold when the ratio gets above 80 to 1 is often the investment strategy. Okay, so you would expect investors to be potentially moving out of gold into silver more heavily, because silver is more undervalued. It represents more potential upside than gold right now. Then when the ratio drops and when it gets back to, for example, 40 or 50 to 1, then you should be banking your profits on silver and then moving back into gold. Okay, and that's ratio is a constant flow in the market. So right now, we have seen a breakdown on the ratio over the last 24 hours, which suggests that silver will outperform gold over the next few weeks here. And we're seeing the breakdown. We broke back below 83, 82 to 1. But this is how extreme it's got recently. It's got all the way up to 10-year highs. And now we're starting to break down with the gold silver ratio, signaling that silver is a better buy right now than gold. The performance, it should outperform gold in the short term. Okay, that's the second secret. The third secret to trading gold, it's research-driven trading. So, of course, do your research when you're trading the financial markets. It's just understanding some of the dynamics at play when you are trading the metals. One of those, of course, is going back to the seasonality for gold and silver. Okay, so typically you can see here as we get into September, and we're actually now transitioning into October, but typically the seasonal peaks for gold and silver prices, January, we've seen countless times be very supportive for the price of gold and silver. Over the last 5 years in particular, we've seen very strong rallies, something known as the January effect, which is where a lot of investors, institutions, they're buying into the precious metals at the beginning of the year. And sometimes it starts in the last week of December, and that often drives prices very high, very significantly higher. One of the best months of the year for performance is January leading into February. Normally we see a bottom out over the summer months, over July and August. We definitely saw that on platinum and palladium over this August. In fact, palladium, after it bottomed in August, has rallied all the way back to the highs from April. Very significant rebound in price. Silver and gold are still playing a bit of catch up off the lows there, which formed in August, but we have seen some support come in of late. Certainly platinum got back above $800 per ounce. But from a seasonal point of view, often you get weakness over the summer and you build strength again as you get towards August, September, October. Normally bottom out around July or August, and then we really start to build up a rally going into January. So from a seasonal point of view, that can help you with your positioning. Okay, so we can see here months which tend to be the better performers of the year for the metals. So normally summer months aren't really that great for gold or silver. Normally you're looking at flat to negative months for June and July. The end of the year can be stronger, so September, August, October as well, reasonable months. Some of the best performing months of the year tend to be January and also September. We've seen a very stellar month for platinum, for example, and we've also seen some support here overall for silver over this month, although it pulled back a bit on the FOMC statement. It's still, generally speaking, up for the month of September, but January can be a really strong month. So a lot of traders like to position themselves over December for a potential January, February, which normally leads into February as well. Okay, so January and February can be very strong months for the precious metals. So if you're looking to time your entries, when to get into the market, it's worth knowing about that from a research point of view as well. Then you just got this cyclical move where often you get the buy signal occur over December into January. You look to sell out again as you get into the spring. So normally February, March is one of the worst performing months of the year historically for the precious metals. And you follow the cycles, and as you get to know the market better, you can follow the different cycles and you can use that to increase your edge and your probability with your trades. And then you want to also be monitoring what hedge funds and money managers are doing. So we get this data every Friday, Commitment of Traders data. We've got news feeds at the Gold and Silver Club. So we get access to that data approximately just after 8 o'clock London time every Friday, which is good timing, by the way, for the weekend reports to be put out on YouTube. So if you want to get that information quicker, just go across to our YouTube channel and subscribe to that so you're kept updated with the reports. But the CFTC data comes out every Friday after 8 o'clock London time. So then we get to know what the hedge funds and money managers are doing. Are they increasing their buy positions, or are they decreasing it? Are they going net sell short? Are they net long? And that will help you just to know what the institutions are doing, what the smart money is doing, because often you want to be looking at that data and then making trading decisions, utilizing that data as well, and everything else that we're using as well to really get an edge and higher probability with our trades. Okay, the fourth secret to trading is really knowing good strategies to trade the markets. We've got a number of different strategies. One of those is knowing the breakout strategy. So a V-shaped reversal can be a really good way to trade the market, especially if you see that lining up early. We had that on palladium recently, on silver to a certain extent as well, and gold too. These V-shaped reversals, once you get a breakout above the neckline, you can really start to build momentum on one of those breakouts, and you can take advantage of the moves. A V-shaped reversal to the downside as well can also be utilized. So we've used that a lot on oil recently, where we see a V-shaped reversal developing. In fact, there's potentially one on Brent crude oil at the moment. Maybe I can show you that on the chart, but essentially look to sell this on a break of the neckline. Once it starts to form this reversal, often you will get a mirror image of the breakouts. The upside will be followed by a reversal, and you can sell into that. There was a really great opportunity like that on this week on the Swiss franc Japanese yen as well, actually, which we've now shorted 3 times this week, which has been really good, and it's really broken down today. So maybe we can look at that just from a strategy point of view as well. And then finally, the fifth secret to trading gold is as follows. So the secret is about your diversifying your portfolio. So this is a very key element to your trading, because sometimes you'll spot opportunities in the market, but before you know it, you start adding to a lot of positions, and then you can start to get yourself into a bit of a muddle because you've got too much exposure. You may have too many trades on the metals, so it could be commodity currencies, or all of your trades are correlated in the same way. Okay, so for example, if you're buying gold and you're buying silver, you probably don't want to be selling the US dollar and also buying Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar as well, because they're all correlated markets. So the US dollar will be the main driver. If the US dollar sells off, all of those markets will go up. If the US dollar goes up, they'll all go down. So you need to know how to hedge your portfolio, or you're strict with your discipline. You just take a couple of trades at a time. And when you're in one of the trades, you then move your stop loss to entry, or you start to position yourself or take profit off the table before you take on the next trade, for example. So you can either hedge your portfolio, or you can have the discipline to just limit your trades to just a few trades which are not necessarily in correlated markets. So for example, you won't have as much correlation with gold and oil than you will with gold and silver. Gold and silver will be very similar trades, whereas gold and oil, different markets, driven fundamentally in a different way. Trading Bitcoin and gold will be completely different as well. They're not driven by the same factors. Going for a position, for example, on one of the commodity currencies like the US dollar, Canadian dollar, won't have as much impact alongside trading silver, for example, although it's correlated to oil. So most of the time you don't want to be in US dollar CAD and oil at the same time. So basically you need to know the split of how you do that within your portfolio, how you marry up your percentage risk into commodity currencies, and you put that into oil and gas, for example, cryptocurrencies, and the metals as well. So we've got a system doing that at the Silver Club for amount of risk that we take on each trade that we are executing, and how we would build a position, and how we would move our stop losses to entry price when we are in trades as well. It's something that we can go through a bit more as well in the MT5 training. By the way, I've had a few great comments and feedback off the back of the MetaTrader 5 training that we've been doing recently. There'll be another session as we go into October, so just make sure you go to the webinar section on binary.com to find out about that. Now, of course, markets like cryptocurrencies, FX pairs, commodities like gold, silver, they're all tradable on MetaTrader MT5 within binary.com. If you haven't done so already, very simply, when you log into your binary.com terminal, your platform, you can go to login and you'll see a drop down for MetaTrader 5. From there, you can click on MetaTrader, set up an account, download the platform, and you then have access to cryptocurrencies. You've got access to oil, gold, silver, the Forex markets as well, where you can trade them on the MetaTrader 4 platform. That's particularly useful for those of you who may have been trading binary trading before within Europe, but it's now no longer accessible at the moment to trade in that way. But you can now trade on MetaTrader 5, and that's a big development. It's come along just recently where you can do that on binary.com, and you should definitely look into that if you haven't done so already. Thanks for that, Sharice. Right, we do have got some presentations open, so I'll tell you what we do before we switch over to my screen. I'll close those down and we'll just see if there's anything else running there which could right, yep, we will take that off. Hopefully that will improve the sound quality. Okay, good. So with that, what we'll do, we'll move over to the charts very shortly, but just a summary there in terms of how to increase your probability and your effectiveness when you're trading gold. So the 5 secrets to trading gold are knowing about high probability news items. That includes FOMC statements, non-farm payrolls. We have a non-farm payroll next Friday. The FOMC statement was yesterday. There are 8 FOMC statements per year. 4 of those have a press conference afterwards, which was one of the FOMC statements we had yesterday. Had a press conference afterwards where they often increase interest rates on the FOMC statements which come out in September and also December as well. Then number 2 is the gold silver ratio, which will help you with your timing on gold and silver and whether you should be buying gold versus silver, which one has the likelihood of being a better performer. Number 3 is research driven trading. So marrying up your strategy with overall positioning from hedge funds and money managers, and seasonality, so knowing what time of year that we're in and also knowing which cycle we are in within the market as well is important to give you a higher probability outcome. Also, identifying buy and sell opportunities. We've got a number of strategies we use at the Gold and Silver Club. One of those is V-shaped reversal pattern breakouts, and I'll try and show you some more examples of that on the chart shortly. And then number 5 is portfolio diversification. Just being aware that if you're buying gold, for example, you will also have the same sort of correlation if you go long silver, of course, as well. Both those are very similar trades. Or even if you go long Australian dollar and you're going long the New Zealand dollar, they're all correlated markets. You want to avoid getting into too many correlations at the same time, unless on some of your trades you're protecting the trade where you're moving the stop loss to entry price, so you're no longer at risk with that. But that's very important to be able to diversify your portfolio properly and not get into too many correlated markets at the same time, which is why it can be really great to have access to, for example, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, for example, in your portfolio, or Ethereum or Litecoin, and then have access to trading gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. Then you've got crude oil, WTI crude oil, or Brent, and then you can be trading the commodity currencies like Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, US dollar, Canadian dollar, for example. Okay, so with that, let's go over to some of the trade ideas we've got right now. Hopefully sound quality will remain okay for that, and I'll talk you through exactly what I'm looking at in the charts right now. Okay, so just share my screen. Okay, right, so just a quick check-in. Everyone can see my screen okay, and you can hear me okay as well. Yeah, fantastic. How's the sound there, Sharice? Oh, is it okay? Hopefully it will improve. Okay, what we'll do, guys, we'll go through a scan of the markets together, and I'll show you what I'm looking at here. So hopefully you can see my screen. It's enough depth, and I'll try not to talk and move the mouse at the same time, which can interfere with the sound. Okay, right, first of all, actually, I know this webinar is very much geared towards gold, but I think it's worthwhile just showing you oil at the moment. We're shorting oil right now, so we have a sell on oil. We've been looking to get where we're short around $72 per barrel here. I've got the hourly chart on the right here, and I've got the daily chart on the left. Okay, so we're basically in a rising wedge price structure. We've had rollover here. We've had quite a lot of fundamental data, which is kind of backing up that view at the moment as well over the course of today's session. And we are on the verge, in my opinion, starting to break down more significantly for oil. It's reached a short-term top, $72 to $72.50 per barrel. It's had a bit of a struggle breaking above that level. We're breaking down some of the pivots here on the hourly time frame. If we can break back below the 71.50 level, then we really should see momentum start to pick up to the downside here. So I'm just looking at that right now. That's my sell short position we're in right now. Let me just quickly change the profile so you can see that a bit better. Okay, and let's just change that. Okay, right. Yep, that should show slightly better there on the chart. Okay, there we go. So you've got just the lower time frames on the left there, and you can see the overall price structure on the right. Let me go over to gold, because I've had a lot of questions on gold today. Yep, so gold is still very much a range bound market. Okay, so we're moving between the range of approximately 1,180. We're actually broken down from the range of 1190, but now we're at next support of 1180. So 1180 to 1210 is the range gold is in right now. I wouldn't necessarily buy gold right now until there's more confirmation, but at the same time, I wouldn't sell it today either. It's pretty much done for the day. It's dropped about 180 points or so. It's at the lower end of the range. It's near the Keltner channels. It's near where it found support going back to the beginning of August. But again, this is the impact of an FOMC statement. So the FOMC statement was dollar positive. We saw a breakout, quite a large surge on the dollar today, and that has put pressure on gold and silver. So right now, gold is back at support 1180. I want to see whether we get a bid at this zone or whether it needs to flush out tomorrow. I don't have any positions on gold at the moment. I've got a sell position right now on crude oil. And in fact, we went long today on the S&P 500, which is working out quite nicely too. That's well into profit with the stop loss move to entry price. We've got a nice upward channel on the S&P 500 right now as well, which has found support, and the 2,900 zone has been strong support here as well. But I am looking at the potential to re-enter into positions on gold or silver tomorrow or at the beginning of next week as well. You see, I'm looking at it lower time frames to see whether we get a bid around this level, the about 1180 to 1185 zone. If we move over to silver, silver's actually already starting to get a bit of support. You can see there, silver's been really strong around the $14 level. It's at $14.25 at the moment. It's still holding above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band and the 21-day moving average at the moment as well. So we'll have a look at that more closely on tomorrow's session on the Commodities Corner. So do try and make sure you join us for that. We'll go through any fresh trade setups with that. Essentially, the US dollar has broken out. This is the US dollar on the left here. It broke out to the upside today. In fact, I believe it's still rallying at the moment. Yeah, look at the surge on the US dollar today off the back of the interest rate decision yesterday, more hawkish comments than expected from the Federal Reserve. So the US dollar is really driving higher at the moment, and it's putting pressure on a lot of markets against the US dollar. So that, of course, right now, that includes gold. That includes silver at the moment as well, the breakout that we're getting on the dollar. Although silver is more heavily supported, the gold to silver ratio right now is also suggesting that silver will outperform gold. So between the two, I prefer silver at the moment to gold. Probably one of my favorite trade setups right now is shorting oil. You'll get more confirmation if we do break below the 71.45 level, but I've got my sell signal on, nice pressure which is building up with a rising wedge formation right now with gold as well. I'll give you an example of one of these V-shaped reversals that we saw more recently. This was palladium. In fact, even today, palladium's not calming down. It's still breaking out to the upside. It's almost back at the February highs here. Incredible reversal here, but this was this V-shaped reversal move that we got in mid-August where palladium broke down 7% in one day, real flush out of all of the stop losses, and then we've seen this complete reversal right around the 830 level, which capitulated, and it's just continued to really surge higher, breaking above the neckline here. So this is where you get your entry, just to break above the neckline when you get this break after a reversal like that, break above the 50 MA, close above that, and it's just continued to drive higher over the course of the last few weeks here. And I would look out for maybe something similar occurring soon, not necessarily just yet, but with platinum and also with silver, once they really start to build up a basing formation, once the low is in. Platinum managed to recover back above $800 per ounce here. It's finding support today above the 50-day moving average. It might be just a temporary pause here because of the dollar strength that we're seeing off the back of the FOMC statement. So it just pauses, sets up for a bull flag, and then we get a continuation pattern on platinum prices. Okay, so we could get this sort of this continuation, but it's not quite ready to buy into at the moment. Short term, that's got a sell signal on it right now for platinum. Okay, let's just have a scan through together. We'll have a look at any additional setups which are starting to line up at the moment as well. Okay, so let's just bring out some of the additional markets and we'll just go through. I'll just start off with some of the emerging markets just to see what's going on, the overall sentiment there, how strong the dollar is. Yeah, we definitely US dollar knock at the moment looks like it's on the verge of a breakout. See how US dollar is performing against some of the other currencies right now. Yeah, US dollar against Chinese yuan looks on the verge of a breakout. Bit mixed, but overall you've got US dollar strength at the moment. Emerging currencies actually are getting a bit more supportive today. US dollar Japanese yen has actually broken through. It's broken through the double top there, which is interesting. So that's 113.42 now. I mean, no surprise with the strength in the dollar today, but it's right at the upper end of the Keltner channel now as well. So it's no trade to be had on that, but it's interesting where we are at. We're all the way back at the February highs here. US dollar, Swiss franc, no surprises there. Finally, a big breakout on that. That's actually a good example of a V-shaped reversal pattern breakout. We've been selling the Swiss franc Japanese yen, which has been moving inversely to that throughout most of this week. I'll come on to that now, actually. Let me show you that. We've got a classic V-shaped reversal. You see, I see the potential. We've sold this 3 times this week. I'd now look at the potential to break below 116 and then roll over and then just break down to the 115 zone, which is about 38.2 fib level, and then below that 114.35. You can see that V-shaped reversal. It's been playing out over the last few days here. We've got a nice sell signal on that now. So I would look at the potential to re-enter into that for a sell short. So that's definitely on the watch list. US dollar Swiss franc is pretty much done now. That breakout to the upside. What else looks good at the moment? quite a few reversals on the Japanese yen crosses. Yeah, I still like Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I may actually get back into that later on today. I've still got a buy signal on that. Found support right off the 200-day moving average again this week. A lot of support at that zone. I've got a buy signal again. If we hold this with a positive close, I'll be looking for the price to drive higher, break the weekly pivot, and really surge back towards the upper end of this channel. Really range-bound market. Could probably put a tight stop on that as well. Yeah, probably. I like that. I like the risk to reward on that. So I'll put that. We'll review that again tomorrow, guys, in the commodities corner. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, I like for a long. There's no data overnight on the Australian dollar or the New Zealand dollar. It should be a clean move. All we need to do for that trade to work is the Australian dollar needs to be stronger than the New Zealand dollar over the next 24 hours or so. Okay. So let's just have a look at those two commodity currencies. Okay. So Aussie dollar versus New Zealand dollar. Both look on the brink of selling off. The New Zealand dollar looks weaker though. We could also, to be fair, we could sell that. We've got a sell signal on that. We could take either of those for a sell short tonight if the dollar keeps driving high like this. There's a bit of support for the Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar looks weaker. It looks like it wants to flush out lower. I like that for a long. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Just going to check those. Let's go back to lower time frames here. Okay, what have we got? The hourlies. Well supported. Australian dollar. It looks like we might head lower here overnight. New Zealand dollar. Yeah, New Zealand dollar definitely looks weaker at the moment. Looks on the verge of breaking down. Just look at that from a risk to reward perspective. It's not bad actually. Okay, we've definitely got a sell signal on the New Zealand dollar, although it's pretty much done for the day. It's moved already a sizable amount. It's moved about 50 pips already. Let's look at the Australian dollar, just compare. Definitely more support for the Australian dollar. Not massively, but enough for the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar to work as a long. You see, what I like about the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar is if, for example, gold was to find support at 1180, which is very possible because it's a support zone. Commodity currencies will go up, and then Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar will bounce. They won't continue to sell off like this, and then your risk to gold breaking out or silver getting, or commodities in general, but especially the precious metals there, they'll be correlated to New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar. Your risk of them reversing and you catching the trade incorrectly, with which could potentially be a bull flag, is minimized if you just go long by Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, which is where we've got a potential buy right now. You see, it could be possible that this is just going to get supported and it's going to be a bull flag and it just holds overnight and gets supported. So I like the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar is kind of a safer trade. And it's right back at support zone there. And it's really good for a tight stop at that zone where it is right now. I'll give it a little bit more time. It's 6 o'clock London time right now, just in case it reverses and sits towards the lower end of that zone. Otherwise, then it's a bit vulnerable. If it closes near enough of the daily highs, I'll go long. I'll look for a long position on that. So that's my favorite trade. I've already short oil on long S&P 500 at the moment. Banked Swiss franc, Japanese yen. I wouldn't completely rule it out going short the New Zealand dollar, but I'm going to wait. I'm not going to chase it at the moment. I might short it before the close tonight. But Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar does look good for a long, which would move inversely. See if anything else looks good. Yeah, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen has reversed. What's euro, Japanese yen? Japanese, you see Japanese yen. I mean, US dollar, Japanese yen, obviously big breakout today. Overall, the crosses are now retracing, and they could have a continuation. So you just want to be a bit careful on those. Swiss franc, Japanese yen. I still like that Swiss franc, Japanese yen. If we break through today's support overnight tomorrow, might be done for the week, and then just re-enter next week. But I would imagine within the next week, this is going to do that. It's going to just completely form that V-shaped reversal, like head and shoulders pattern on Swiss franc, Japanese yen. That's really looks set to do that. But it might tomorrow. It might retrace and hold back towards a monthly pivot, and then we short it on Sunday, Monday, and take it back down. Okay, so that's kind of a trade that's definitely on the watch list. See if anything else looks good. Wow, big reversal on CAD Japanese yen today as well. Yeah, euro does look vulnerable. It does look weak, but there's data coming out tomorrow. It's a bit overdone for the day as well. It's a sell. You just don't want to catch a retrace day tomorrow. Potentially everything could retrace, you see. So go back to gold. Let's have a look at that. On the hourly, you see it's starting to get a bit. It's overdone for the day. Buyers might start to come in at these levels. Silver's retracing. Australian dollar CAD might still be a short. It's overshot. It's got this nice bear flag on it at the moment. See that combined with there's CAD data out tomorrow though, so probably I'll wait for tomorrow. But that would be on my watch list for maybe a short tomorrow. You can have a look at that on the LTR, on the commodities corner. Yeah, euro pound getting a bit of support. See if there's anything else that you should have on your radar. I've got a sell signal on the euro CAD, but it's coming into a lot of support around that zone. Might work as a sell, but we've got a lot of support at that level. Euro, New Zealand dollars, put that on the watch list as well. Just see how that closes. There will be a bit of correlation between euro, New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar CAD might work as well for a sell tomorrow. But it needs to break the bear flag, and I'd wait for the CAD data as well. Won't short it ahead of that data. GBP CAD as well, but again, coming to a lot of support, so there's probably better trades to be had. Euro, Australian dollar, basically just going to be a battle of which will be weaker tomorrow, euro or Australian dollar. I mean, it's consolidating right now. Still got a sell signal on it, but it might not move much. I want a market that will move over the next 24 hours. Okay, so I think that's it. That's our watch list, and we'll definitely review that again tomorrow in the commodities corner. So what I'm looking at again, I'm going to check in on it's 6:40 London time right now. So we're looking at, yeah, probably in the next about 2.5 hours or so, should have confirmation of these setups. So basically, I'm looking to potentially go long Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Tomorrow, we may have a sell short New Zealand dollar CAD. Tonight, into the close, we may short New Zealand dollar, US dollar, or Australian dollar, US dollar, or go long Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I'm looking for a retrace entry to sell short into the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. I want to see how that closes later on today. Australian dollar CAD may give us a sell short tomorrow after CAD data. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm short oil at the moment, and I'm long the S&P 500. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of help, guys, in terms of how to trade gold and what we're looking at in the markets right now. And again, do make sure you go across. I'll put the link there. I think everybody's got that. You can just go to YouTube and just search for the Gold and Silver Club. I'm sure a lot of you are already subscribed anyway. But if not, and to be kept updated with the reports, just go across the YouTube channel on Gold and Silver Club YouTube channel to be kept updated. The link is there in the description as well. And if you do want to get access to all of the trades that we take, so I've talked about a few trades today, but basically we send those out to all of our private clients. So you get those via WhatsApp, email, SMS. If you want access to mentorship, one-to-one mentorship as well, just be part of our live trading rooms, be part of our academy, get access to all of our training material, our membership site, and know earlier how you can really maximize on trade opportunities, get real-time alerts on all of the trades and consultancy as well. All you need to do is go to www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. Okay, so it's www.jointhelivetradingroom.com, make an application, and we will, of course, get in touch with you ASAP. Okay, fantastic. So I think that's it for today's session, guys. Thanks as always for being a great audience. We'll catch you back here tomorrow for the commodities corner, and I wish you all good trading. Okay, so have a fantastic day. Thanks very much to Sharice and the team at Binary.com for putting on today's session, and I look forward to speak with you all on the next one. Okay, thanks everyone. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.